This is the most successful thing Starbucks ever built. And this is the man who built it on tape 2 years ago, describing it. The biggest Achilles heel, and it's not even a close second. He is talking about a Chicago store at 8 in the morning. He says, everyone shows up, and all of a sudden we got a mosh pit. And that's not Starbucks. 17 years before he said that, the same man sat down and wrote a memo warning that exactly this would happen. He used a word for it. He was right. And then his company spent 17 years building the thing anyway. This is the story of how the company that invented the third place automated it away, and what it is now paying by hand to get it back. On the 14th of February 2007, the founder of Starbucks, at that point no longer running it, wrote a memo to his chief executive. It was not meant to be public. It became public within a week. The watering down of the Starbucks experience and what some might call the commoditization of our brand. Commoditization, that is the word. It is the word a founder uses when he is frightened that the thing he sells has stopped being special and started being a product. He was writing about espresso machines that were too tall to see over, about stores that smelled of sandwiches instead of coffee, about the romance going out of it. He was not writing about a phone. Nobody was writing about a phone. The iPhone had been announced 5 weeks earlier and would not go on sale for another 4 months. In 2007, the man who built this company put it in writing that the danger was becoming a commodity. Everything that happens for the rest of this film is his own company walking into the word he wrote down. Here is the machine, and here is how fast it arrived. December 2014. Mobile Order and Pay is a pilot. One city, Portland. September 2015. It goes national. 7,400 stores in a single step. Share of United States transactions placed on the app. 3%, then 7%, then about 25%, then 31%. A record in the quarter that ended in December 2023. Nobody has published a fresher number, which is its own kind of answer. A third of the business, ordered by people who never spoke to anybody, walking into a room built entirely around the idea that they would. In January 2017, on an earnings call, the man about to become chief executive stood up and described the problem in a sentence so corporate it is almost beautiful. The tremendous success of Mobile Order and Pay has also created a new operational challenge in our highest volume stores that has been building for several quarters. Significant congestion at the handoff plane. The handoff plane. That is the counter. That is the place where, for 30 years, the entire promise of the company was supposed to happen. Where somebody said your name. He said the word congestion 8 times on that call. And then he said the part that costs money. Customers, he said, entered the store or considered visiting a Starbucks store, and then did not complete a transaction. They walked in, they looked at it, and they left. At that point, the app was 7% of transactions. 7. The crowding that made people turn around and walk out was being caused by 7%. It would go to 31. The 13th of August, 2024, before the market opened. Starbucks put out a press release. It said its chief executive was leaving, effective the previous day, and in the same release it named the man replacing him. Not a search, not an interim stretch announced and then filled some months later. One release, one morning, both halves of it. Laxman Narasimhan had run the company for about 17 months. The stock fell roughly 20% while he did. He was treated as terminated without cause. From the terms filed in the 8K, the press computed his cash severance at about $10.6 million. with equity treatment reported up to about $21 million. His replacement had a title before he had a start date, Chairman and Chief Executive, both in the headline of the release. Then the market answered, and it answered inside one session. Starbucks closed up 24.5%. That is its largest single-day gain since the company went public in 1992, and it put about $21 billion of market value on the company in a day. Chipotle, the company the incoming man was leaving, fell about 7.5% the same afternoon. Two public companies repriced, in one session, on the movement of one person. Nobody had made a cup of coffee any differently yet. There is a question sitting underneath that morning. Who wanted it? In July 3 weeks earlier, the Wall Street Journal reported that Elliott Management had built a stake. The stock rose 6 or 7% that day. The size everyone quotes, as much as $2 billion, is a press estimate. A Schedule 13D is the filing that makes an activist show its hand. None was ever filed here. Elliott's own statement that August called it one of the largest investors in Starbucks. That sentence is the whole disclosure. The push that preceded two chief executives' worth of strategy never had to show a share. Now look at who they chose. Brian Niccol ran Taco Bell from 2015 and drove its mobile ordering rollout. He took over Chipotle in March 2018. Over his tenure, the stock rose somewhere between 700% and 800%. On a business he made one of the most digital in American fast food. By 2020, about 46% of everything Chipotle sold was ordered digitally. The company whose founder called mobile ordering its biggest Achilles heel hired the industry's most successful builder of it to take it back out. On his second day, he published a letter called Back to Starbucks. The diagnosis inside it is the memo's word again, in plainer English. It can feel transactional. Menus can feel overwhelming. Product is inconsistent, the wait too long, or the handoff too hectic. Transactional. Commoditization. Two men, 17 years apart, naming the same illness. The first wrote it in private and watched it leak. The second published it on purpose, on day 2. He was paid for the trouble, a $10 million cash signing bonus, and $75 million in replacement equity for what he forfeited at Chipotle. All of that is the machine. This is the room the machine replaced. 1971, Pike Place, Seattle. 3 men opened a shop that sold beans and equipment. Jerry Baldwin, Gordon Bowker, Zev Siegel. No drinks. You carried the beans home. There was no counter to wait at, because there was nothing to wait for. The man this film has been about does not arrive for another 11 years. When he does, he is a salesman, and what he is selling them is plastic cone filters. 1983. Starbucks sent him to a housewares show in Milan. He walked the city's espresso bars, and what he says he found there was not a product. During my first trip to Milan in 1983, I was captivated by the sense of community I found in the city's espresso bars. Community. That is the entire thesis of the company, and he is describing a room where people stand around and talk to a man who knows their names. He comes home and tells the owners they should sell the drink, not the bean. They say no. They say no for 2 years. That refusal is the most repeated scene in the story, and one of the men in it has been on the record about it since 2016. Apocryphal, and it's like Howard body slammed Gordon and me, but that's not the case. Baldwin disputes the blocked visionary version of his own life. He also had reasons that never travel with the story. He and Bowker had just bought Pete's and were carrying $6 of debt for every dollar they owned. So when the young man quit in 1985 to build it himself, what happened next was the opposite of a rejection.
You are really going to do this.
I am really going to do this.
This is not a business we want to be in, and I meant it, and I still mean it, but it is a business you should be in. So,
This is Starbucks money.
150,000 of it. And I will take a seat on your board if you'll have me. Not to steer you, to support you.
Starbucks put $150,000 into the company that would one day buy it, and Baldwin took a seat on its board. By Schultz's own book, the men who said no were his first investors. He raised the rest at 92 cents a share, $400,000 of seed money, and then a year of asking. A physician named Ron Margolis, by Schultz's telling, never asked for a business plan. He asked how much was needed and wrote $100,000 on the spot. That $100,000 was later worth more than $10 million. 2 years after that, the owners sold him the company he could not talk them into changing. He signed on a Friday afternoon in August 1987. By his own account, he raised about $3.8 million to do it. No primary document for that figure has ever been produced in any telling of this story. He was 34 years old, and he owned the room. There is one number everybody knows about that year of asking: 242 people. 217 of them said no. It is in his book, on the page, in his own words. We read it there. Two things never travel with it. The first is that the year of rejection was for Il Giornale, the espresso company he started after he left. It was not the founding of Starbucks. The second is that 11 months before the book came out, he told the Seattle Times a different version. 242 solicited, 23 put up money. That is 219 refusals. Same man, same year, 2 counts, and no list of names has ever existed to settle it. The podcast usually cited as the independent check is not one. The host says the numbers back to him, and he agrees. That is the book being read aloud. 40 years on, the company is still arguing about whose count is real. Only now the people doing the counting work there. There is a second story running underneath all of this, and it belongs to the people who make the drink. Since 2021, workers have voted to unionize at 700 Starbucks stores, covering more than 15,000 people. That is elections won, from Labor Board data, tallied on the 25th of June this year. Starbucks frames the same facts differently, and its framing is also accurate. Fewer than 1% of its 10,000-plus company-operated United States stores, under 4% of its baristas. Both are true. They answer different questions. The record in between has been adjudicated, and it does not run one way. In 2023, a Labor Board judge found, across 21 Buffalo area stores, that the company had broken federal labor law hundreds of times. His phrase was egregious and widespread misconduct. Then, in June 2024, the Supreme Court sided with Starbucks. In Starbucks against McKinney, the court held that Labor Board injunctions require the ordinary 4-factor test, not the looser one used in the Memphis case, 8-1, and no justice voted to keep the lower court standard. Here is the part that is not in dispute. 4.5 years after the first store voted, no collective bargaining agreement has been ratified at any Starbucks store in the United States. About 33 tentative agreements were reached by April 2025. Union delegates rejected the economic package, 81% against, by the union's count. On Red Cup Day, the 13th of November 2025, the union began the longest strike in the company's history. It ran 131 days into March. The union counted more than 1,000 baristas at 65 stores at the start, growing to roughly 3,800. Starbucks said less than 1% of its coffee houses were experiencing any level of disruption, and that the vast majority of its 240,000 partners came to work. A company whose entire product is a welcoming room has spent 4.5 years not signing a contract with the people standing in it. So, what does undoing a machine actually look like? Mostly it looks like furniture and labor. Roughly 30% of the menu, cut, handwritten names back on the cups, ceramic mugs and free refills if you stay. A 4-minute service standard, backed by more than $500 million of added labor hours. People on the floor instead of another screen. 627 underperforming stores closed. And the purest piece of app-era architecture, the pickup-only store, was discontinued outright. The strategy before this one had wanted that format for 14% of every new store. And the company committed to bolting more than 25,000 cafe seats back into its United States stores by the end of this fiscal year. Chairs, into rooms redesigned to get you out of them. Then the strangest repair of all. In May 2026, scheduled mobile ordering launched across North America. You pick an exact pickup time, up to an hour ahead. The app that made the mosh pit learned to make an appointment. 19 years after the memo, 11 after the national rollout. And it is working, which is the part that complicates the story. In the quarter that ended in December, United States comparable sales rose 4%, and transactions grew for the first time in 8 quarters. In the quarter that ended in March, comparable sales rose 7.1%, transactions 4.3%, and the company raised its guidance for the year. The warmth came with discipline attached. By May this year, the notes on the cups were mandatory, with write-ups possible for a barista who did not write one, and the union filed a complaint with the labor board over it. A filing is an allegation, not a finding, and the retreat that helped pay for it. In March, the company closed the sale of 60% of its China business. The company that once opened a store there every 15 hours now owns 40% of it. The man hired to undo the machine says the plan is working. The receipts so far agree with him. On the 29th of July, 2026, after the market closed, the report card landed. United States comparable sales rose 7.9%. But the number this film has been waiting on is the one underneath it. Transactions rose 4.2%. People, not prices. That is the third quarter in a row. A year ago, this same business was shrinking. North America transactions fell 3.3% in the third quarter of last year. This year, they rose 4.5%. And the company raised its guidance for the year again. The top line says, the opposite happened. Consolidated revenue fell 1% to $9.3 billion. That is not customers leaving. In April, the company handed its China stores to a joint venture and stopped counting their sales as its own. In North America, where the repair is actually happening, revenue rose 7%. Adjusted earnings came in at 85 cents a share, up 70%. Most of that lift is not coffee. The company's adjusted tax rate fell 960 basis points. The operating figure is the honest one, and it is strong. Adjusted operating margin widened 430 basis points. The chief executive's own words on it. Our third quarter results are proof they do, and in the same statement, we have more work to do. And the stores kept opening, 175 net new stores in the quarter, ending at 41,304. One number is not in here. The company did not say what share of its business now moves through the app. The last time it disclosed that figure was the first quarter of fiscal 2024, when it was 31%. The machine at the center of this story is, on the public record, still unmeasured. 19 years ago, the man who built this company wrote down what it was costing him. The company built it anyway. It is now paying seat by seat to take it back out. On this quarter's evidence, the customers are coming back. Whether that holds is next quarter's print.